Well, welcome back to Millennial Meets Gen Z 90s edition, where we're introducing the 90s to the generation obsessed with the 90s. I'm Allison, I'm the Millennial,
And I'm Hannah. I'm the Gen Z.
and this week we watched the 90s cult classic, Hook. So I'm going to read the synopsis. When his young children are abducted by his old nemesis, Captain Hook, played by Dustin Hoffman, middle-aged lawyer Peter Banning, played by Robin Williams, returns to his magical origins as Peter Pan. Peter must revisit a foggy past in which he abandoned Neverland for family life, leaving Tinkerbell, played by Julia Roberts, and the Lost Boys to fend for themselves. Given their bitterness towards Peter for growing up and their allegiance to their new leader, Rufio, the old gang may not be happy to see him. So, Hannah, my Gen Z friend, what did you think about our first Robin Williams movie?
So, one, I was so happy it wasn't about a hook, as we talked about in our last podcast. I was like, oh my gosh, I was obviously after we talked about it, I wasn't scared, but I was like a little bit scared when you initially said hook. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be terrified. This is gonna be great. Okay.
Oh, a
But
thriller.
yeah, I was like, this is gonna be so great. But I did really like it. I really do not remember the story of Tinkerbell too much. Like I really thought I had it nailed down in my head. Like before I watched it, I was like, I remember the Peter Pan story so well. Did not. And I had to like re-go back and look up the plot for like the Disney Peter Pan to see like what aligned and what didn't, since it
Okay.
was the rewriting of it. So I was like, oh my God, there's so many things I forgot about. I was like, okay. But I did like it. I did like it. I would rate it like an 8.5 out of 10. My boyfriend rated it a 7 out of 10. So
Okay.
we'll
What's a 10 in your book?
Have you ever seen the movie Beautiful Boy?
No. Apparently
You've
that's your
never
10.
s-
Okay. I've
You
seen the
have to
movie
watch
Bubble Boy. I don't think that's the same
it.
though.
No, it's so good. For anyone who's seen Beautiful Boy, it's a newer movie. I don't know exactly when it came out, but it came out like somewhat recently. It has Timothy Chalamet in it.
Oh,
But it's
that's why.
about
There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Your Gen Z is getting all over our podcast. It's Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, I love Timothy Chalamet, but not even because I think he's hot or anything. I just really like his acting style. But I like very deep movies, as I
Okay.
feel like you know. So yeah.
Okay. So this is an 8.5 out of 10. And
Yes.
and your boyfriend said a 7 out of 10.
That is 7 out of 10,
Do we know
yes.
what his 10 is?
No, actually, that's a really good question.
You
I
should
should
ask
ask.
him that so that we know. And also, like, what ooh, this is a new rating system. You haven't been rating the movies in the past, or at least telling anyone. So, did you rate any of our past movies out of 10?
I went back and looked at my notes. I rated them in my head. I just didn't write it down. Like First Wives Club for me was like a
Okay.
9. First Wives
Okay.
Club for me was like a
So,
9.
okay. So I think what we need to do is put out like your rating system.
Okay.
Like, one is like the worst movie I've ever seen. What is
Yeah.
it? And 10 is the best movie you've ever seen. And then maybe we'll rate your movies, like the movies we've watched, and see where they fall.
Yes, I think we should do that. I think that'd be a really good idea. Yeah. I think my
Okay.
favorite movie we've watched so far, hmm. Actually, honestly, probably Practical Magic. Practical Magic has
That's
been my
favorite.
favorite so far.
Okay. That
Yeah.
makes sense. That fits.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk basic cast and crew before we actually get into the movie itself. So this was a Steven Spielberg directed movie, and I don't really I don't really feel like he needs an introduction, but I've come across recent people that don't seem to know anything about what Steven Spielberg has done. So, for those who don't watch movies, or for maybe younger generations that aren't familiar with Steven Spielberg, I guess here we go for the top ones. Now, I'm going to go through a big list. So, Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Indiana Jones movies, all of them. E.T., The Color Purple, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Amistad, Saving Private Ryan, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal, War of the Worlds, and so many other movies. He is an icon for movies. And you know, if you're going to see a Spielberg movie, that it's going to be good, it's going to have heart, it's going to have action, like something. It has to have these challenges, and it has like a lot of usually cute lines in it. Not that he's writing them, This was written by J.M. Barrie, which is a story was written by J.M. Barrie. It's old story, the Peter Pan story. And then James B. Hart and Nick Castle were then able to take that storyline and kind of recreate it for the screen. An unrecognizable Dustin Hoffman, as we talked about, plays Captain James Hook. And Dustin Hoffman is best known for his role in The Graduate, which was like an older 70s movie, I think it is, 70s or 80s. Rain Man, which is like an iconic movie from the 80s, Midnight Cowboy, All the President's Men, Kramer versus Kramer. You may know him from the voice of Shifu in Kung Fu Panda. If you ever saw the Kung Fu Panda series,
Oh
he's
my God,
in
what?
he voices Shifu for all of those. He also plays Bernie Fokker in Meet the Fokker series. So anything that has to do with the Meet the Fokker series, which came from Meet the Parents, he plays Ben Stiller's dad. Growing up, I always thought Hook was played by Tim Curry, which was kind of weird. So look up Tim Curry and then like look at who Dustin Hoffman disguises himself to look like and act like. And I always just thought that was the same person. So we know that Robin Williams plays Peter Banning. If you've grown up Gen Alpha or maybe some Gen Z, you might not know who Robin Williams is, but most people generally do. He is an incredibly beloved as an actor and a comedian. I really don't know anyone that doesn't like Robin Williams. Like, there's a lot of comedians that people will be like, I'm not really a this. I don't really like Jim Carrey. I don't really like Adam Sandler or something like that. But Robin Williams is kind of like just loved. I've never ever heard anyone say I don't like Robin Williams. So, I mean, if you're out there, call yourself out, fine with that. You're welcome to your opinion, but most people just like him for at least one role that he's played, and he's played a very dynamic amount of roles. So he kind of started in Happy Days, which is an old show that was on when my mom was growing up. And he played Mork, which was an alien in that show. It was kind of a very like, mom, dad, brother, sister, and then all of a sudden they had this alien that showed up in the show. And that spun off into a show of his own called Mork and Mindy, which was really good. I watched reruns of that growing up. He was in the movie Popeye. He was in Good Morning Vietnam. My favorite is Dead Poets Society. You may know him if you ever saw the movie Ferngully. He was
I have
Batty
not.
in Ferngully. Okay, that was probably it's a animated movie from my time, but it still gets some watches here and there from the other generations. But okay, well, you definitely would know him as the genie in Aladdin. You've probably seen Aladdin. Okay. He was
Yes.
also Mrs. Doubtfire, as you know. He's in Jumanji, which is our next movie. He's in The Birdcage, which we'll be watching later. He was in Flubber, Good Will Hunting, Patch Adams, and so many other amazing movies, literally right up until his diagnosis and death. And for those interested in marketing and advertising, I really loved his show. It did 2 seasons of The Crazy Ones. It's a really good show about an ad company. He's like the dad of, I think, a woman that works there. It's been a few years since I watched it, but it is a really good show called The Crazy Ones. So,
Yes.
with all that, the movie begins and we open on these kids' faces whose mouths are agape watching play on stage. And I will add that the first thing I thought of is I used to have a baby doll that looked just like that. Her mouth was like, and it was because it was a Cabbage Patch doll that was supposed to blow like a birthday kazoo. But I think about that Cabbage Patch doll every time I'm putting on mascara because it's like the face that you make. You always like are dropping your jaw to make the face when you're doing mascara. It's the same face. So that's
Yes.
exactly what I was thinking of. That's where my train went when I always try to capture like what's the first thing we see on screen. And that's where my thought process was like, oh, I make that face when I put on mascara and it's just like my Cabbage Patch happy birthday baby doll.
Oh
So
my God, that's a great analogy. Kind of off topic, but on the topic of Cabbage Patch dolls, did you ever have the one that like you would pull its hair and it would get like longer and shorter?
I had one that wasn't a Cabbage Patch doll that would do that. Like it was like that you could like pull its hair and then you'd have to like I feel like you had to crank its arm or something to get its hair to go back.
Oh.
It had to like wind. How do you get it to go back? How did your, it's just like automatic winding? I mean, you're We
No,
didn't
I
have
would like
automated toys.
it was my mom's and it would like
Okay.
pull and then you had to like pull it back and it would like suck back in.
Okay, so it was kind of like a fishing reel
Yeah, kind of. A little bit, yeah.
or like a measuring tape.
No, that just like made me think of that. I was like, oh my God, I had Cabbage Patch dolls too.
I wasn't a Cabbage Patch doll, so
Oh.
are you sure it was a Cabbage Patch? The
Yeah, I'm
Cabbage
like,
Patch that
yeah, I'm like 100% sure on this.
okay, so
Yes.
you know what Cabbage Patch. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. We are on, at least we've gotten you so far. So they're watching the stage play of Peter Pan, and then we see that Wendy Moira Angela Darling is played by Maggie, the daughter of the two parents in the audience. Now, Maggie is played by young Amber Scott, who really only did this movie. She decided she didn't like acting after this movie. She now works as a writer and producer. I was really surprised because she's so good. I was like, why wasn't she in like 70 billion other things following that? But she just decided she didn't like it. So hopefully, like this movie wasn't a bad experience for her, but I know it was probably a rough movie to play. The dad's cell phone rings and he answers it during the performance, which would infuriate most people, but it's so common these days. This is played by Peter Banning, this is Peter Banning, played by Robin Williams. And we learn that he's going to be traveling with his family to London and they will be dedicating a hospital wing to Granny Wendy. So he schedules this meeting for the next morning, which is the same time as his son's game. And he says, we'll make it a short meeting. My word is my bond, saying he will not miss it. Now, his son Jack is played by Charlie Corsmo, who was in the Dick Tracy movie, and he was in my mom's favorite movie, What About Bob? And one of my 90s favorites, Can't Hardly Wait. So we'll probably be watching definitely Can't Hardly Wait. I think What About Bob is an 80s movie, but I'll have to check. Otherwise, it might make the list. Um, he is now an assistant law professor and the U.S. director of the Canada U.S. Law Institute at the Case Western Reserve University School of Law in Ohio. He's not that far. So I was just like we could have run into him at any point if you've ever driven through Ohio. It's just weird to me
Yeah.
because like he's such an icon of my childhood. But next day, Peter Banning missed his son's game, even though he had promised. We see Peter at the office, and did you see that cell phone? It's like a honking, chunky,
Yeah.
this chunky one that they used to make, but it's a flip down. The antenna gets pulled up, and they draw their phones out like they're in the Wild Wild West. How fast? Down and antenna up. And you had to like that was the microphone that you had to flip down and then you had to pull your antenna up for it to really get signal,
Oh,
supposedly. I don't know. I actually now I'm thinking about it, like we never tested it. You just that's just what you did is pulled the antenna up. But you wanted
oh.
the idea was that you wanted the antenna to be like further away from your head, but honestly, they're not that long and they weren't. So
Yeah, that's
anyway,
fine. No, I was so upset about the game. I was
yes.
like that's I don't know. I understand being a workaholic, like and especially in that time and all of that, but like, dude, you can't not be a good dad. Like you come on, go to your son's game. Like, I don't
People
know.
get
There are mates.
self-absorbed.
Yeah.
So we see that Jack lost the game and his dad didn't show up till hours after it was over. We see the family on their way to London after that. Peter is nervous about flying, and Jack draws a picture of a plane going down in flames. And Peter is the only one without a parachute, which is like, what? Take your kid to therapy. Work for maybe your whole family to do at that point. If your kid is drawing pictures of your plane going down.
I think they all need therapy in their own
Uh,
way.
Peter tells his son, Jack, when are you going to stop acting like a child? To which Jack replies, I am a child. And Peter says, grow up. They arrive at Granny Wendy's house in London, and Toodles answers the door and then slams it in their faces. Now, Toodles is played by Arthur Millay, who was in Mary Poppins. He was in the movie Halloween, and he was the voice of Mr. Agnes in The Secret of Nim. Sorry, NIMH. Nim.
I've never even heard of that movie or
It's an
show.
older movie, but it is an animated one from I think the 80s. But leading up to this, he was on a really great show. I mean, sorry, he was on almost every great show during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. People should check out his IMDb for some really good classics. I mean, he hit like every show that was good and on TV during those decades he was on. He did one episode. He also did the movie Toys with Robin Williams the next year. So they did work together again, which is kind of cute because he's such a cute old man. And then Liza answers the door screaming with excitement. And Liza is played by Laurel Cronin, who was in Beethoven and A League of Their Own. Both are on our list for next year. Then they walk in and the door is left open. I like noticed that they just like he walks in and doesn't even, it's winter outside and they just leave the door open. So I don't know
That's
about
something I
that.
would do.
Like I would think that like at least like Liza or somebody like have somebody go and shut it. It just that was such a weird move.
Yeah.
Um so we learned that Peter and his wife Moira kind of both grew up in the house. Moira was played by Caroline Goodall, who you may recognize from the mom in the Princess Diaries. She was also in the movie Cliffhanger, Schindler's List, and Chasing Liberty. Apparently, Granny Wendy took in orphans, although Moira was her actual granddaughter. We see Toodles looking around the floor because he's lost his marbles, and Toodles was actually Wendy's first orphan. Then we see Wendy, Moira's grandmother, and the one who saved Peter. She looks so beautiful when she like comes and there's like the light behind her and she's at the top of the stairs. And she is played by the late great Maggie Smith, who we first met as Gunilla in our first movie, The First Wives Club. So we've seen her a couple times now. Yeah. And it's been 10 years since Peter was last in London. But one rule for Wendy's house that she tells the kids, no growing up. The son says if his dad meets any resistance at work, that he's just going to blow him out of the water. And Wendy replies, Peter, you've become a pirate. And then pictures of Hook and Smee are all on the borders upstairs in the kids' room. Peter tries to take a call, and his kids are too loud, and he yells at them and prioritizes work over his family. His wife throws his cell phone out the window, which is a big deal because those are expensive. That phone was close to $3,000 around the time that this movie was made, which in today's dollars would be about $7,000. And they just chucked it out the window. See ya. That's a lot of money. Wendy is reading to the children and talks about the origin of fairies from the laugh of a baby that broke into 1,000 pieces to become fairies. She tells the children that she is the real Wendy from the story and that that is the same window where they made up the bedtime stories about Neverland and Peter Pan and scary old Captain Hook. Their neighbor then wrote down all of the stories 80 years ago in a book. Peter doesn't like open windows, and the daughter says that Jack's baseball was stolen by a mean, scary man at the window, and he said he was a window washer that stole it. The adults put kids to bed and they leave for the dedication, and at the dedication, many of the people in the audience were the children that she found homes for. They were the Lost Boys, which is so sweet. It was kind of such a sweet like moment with like the room and the candlelight and everybody stands up because they were all people that she saved. Back at home, we see Toodles awaking talking about Hook and the dog barks outside. The window upstairs gets unlocked. The windows blow open. The covers fly off the children, green glow, and the wind blows and the children are there and we see the adults like then going home. And then we arrive to Wendy's home and there's a scratch in the front door, no power, and the scratch goes all the way up the wall, up the stairs, and Liza is in the hall going, the children are screaming. And the kids are gone, the window's open, and Wendy finds a sword in the door that says with a note, Dear Peter, your presence is required at the request of your children. Your kindest regards, J.A.S. Hook, Captain. Toodles then says, you have to fly, you have to fight, you have to crow, you have to save Maggie, you have to save Jack. Hookie's back. So I like the cute little rhymes, which comes from the Lost Boys. Like the Lost Boys use a lot of rhyming. But Peter says, who? And then Gran collapses. They call the cops, and the cops ask if it's some kind of ridiculous prank, and they talk about the literary history of the family, and that's why it might be a ridiculous prank. And Toodles says, I forgot how to fly. No more happy thoughts lost. Wendy says Moira to make tea. Like, she sends her away, like out of the room. And then she makes Peter stay and gets this book, and she discusses Peter's memory. And he can't remember anything before the age of 12 when she found him. Wendy says that Peter used to be in love with her. She expected him to stop her wedding, but he never showed back up, and not until she was a grandmother then he came back. He saw her sleeping granddaughter, Moira, and decided not to go back to Neverland at that point. And Wendy says the stories are true, that Hook has taken them. He must go back. He must make himself remember, and introduces him to himself, Peter Pan. So obviously, as a normal person would do, he starts then like kind of thinking she's lost her marbles too, and starts drinking. He opens the upstairs window to lets in the firefly from hell, which I thought was hilarious because that's a similar line to Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Firefly from hell.
That's a good. I'm gonna start using that as a phrase, just like in general, just for like people. I'll be like, "You're a firefly from hell."
It's yeah, instead of saying something like fiddlesticks, you're just like firefly from hell. Um, but really it's Tinkerbell, and she leaves little black footprints on his shirt. So, and then she says that Peter Pan has a smell. So this is not just to witches, the fairies smell people too. The smell of someone who's ridden the back of the wind, the smell of 100 fun summers sleeping in trees with adventures of Indians and pirates. Peter thinks he's having a nervous breakdown. She sprinkles him with fairy dust, and he sneezes her into the tiny dollhouse. Tink said, every time someone says, I do not believe in fairies, a fairy falls down dead. Then she promptly falls down and pretends to be dead until he claps his hands. It's very dramatic. At the time, I thought she actually did like fall. Oh no, she's getting sick and weak and like, but no, it's like as an adult, I'm like, oh, she was just totally faking it. Um,
That was one time I was not super gullible, unlike the fish.
yeah.
Unlike the fish.
And then I noticed that she also had like a tiny dagger on her leg, which I don't think I ever noticed that before. So she carries like this tiny dagger on her calf.
I thought it was funny that she didn't look like Disney's interpretation of Tinkerbell. I
Oh,
didn't
like
expect that.
blonde and like
Yeah.
with a little bun,
Yeah. I was like, oh my
dancing
God.
dress. Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Um, and then Tinkerbell knocks him out, wraps him in a rug, and flies off. Second star to the right and straight on till morning. That's a classic Peter Pan line. All the way to Neverland. Toodles looks happy, but also jealous. Peter wakes up 2 o'clock in a town loaded with pirates. Tink helps him dress like a pirate. And we meet Smee, who is played by Bob Hoskins. Now, Bob Hoskins is best known for films like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Super Mario Brothers. I was definitely in love with both. There's a cult following for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and then Super Mario Brothers was an awesome movie. Probably also not really meant for kids, but we all watched it. So
I didn't even know there was a Super Mario movie.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I think that falls within the 90's, so we may be adding that one to the list. It's a weird movie, but especially for for children because it's like adults and like adult things and yeah, it's weird, but it's good. So, that's all I'm going to say about that because if it falls within the list, I don't want to give away too much.
Well,
We meet Captain James Hook, played by Dustin Hoffman, as we saw. He admits that he has Pan's children in revenge for his hand that Peter Pan cut off and fed to the crocodile. The pirate that ends up in the boo box is Glenn Close, so I did see her, and they put him, Glenn Close, in the chest. She's the one that they like put in the chest with this, and they feed in scorpions. Um, I mean, I don't think that she was actually in there when they're feeding in scorpions, Hannah. Like, it was just,
can you imagine though, like having like no technology and like having to actually do that and just like being in there and just like being bed.
They did
Like,
the shot of her going into the thing, and then they do another shot of the scorpions being fed, and she's not in there while the scorpion. That's not like they're not having to use technology to change anything. They just did a shot and then did a second shot.
maybe I'm too gullible. Maybe I'm too gullible. Maybe I have
I'm glad
issues.
you've never run into Glenn Close and been like, "How was it with those scorpions?
Like, was it
And
good, girl? Like, was
was
it
that
gross?
scary? Did they sting you?"
Oh my
She would be
God.
like, "What are you talking about?" Uh, so Captain Hook admits he has Pan's children in revenge for his hand. The pirate that ends up, we talked about the Glenn Close. Peter sees his kids and outs himself because Hook wants a war. Hook says, "Pick up your weapon." And Peter gets out his checkbook. Lame. They hoist the kids up and challenge Peter Pan to touch the outstretched fingers of his kids and he'll set them free. But Peter can't fly. So he climbs up the ship's mast and tries to reach his kids' hands, but he can't quite reach them, and he
Mhm.
can't fly, and he almost falls. And he's never been away from Neverland so long, so he's forgotten everything. His kids ask him not to give up, and then he's accidentally later. He obviously can't help them. He's later tied behind like his back, his arms are tied, and he's accidentally pushed into the water and multiple mermaids rescue him. This is where you really wanted those mermaids. And I was like, I don't remember. But yes, the
Yes.
mermaids are in here. They multiple rescue him, breathing air into him, which just looks like they're kissing him underwater.
That's
To be
no,
honest
that's
with
what I
you.
said. I literally had that written down. I was like,
Is
did
that
he
considered
just like
cheating?
it had like that's my
He kisses
question.
three mermaids. It's more than just like air going in. Like
Yeah.
I've seen CPR and I've seen making out. And
Yeah.
this maybe is a little bit cross between, but leaning more on the end of making out and not
Yeah.
as much breathing air into your body. But and he doesn't even like act like his chest is expanding or anything that would happen when air is going. I just think he's making out with mermaids. So
Yeah, I agree. I did not like the Green Mermaid for whatever reason. I was like, I do not like the color of her. I felt like written down. I did not like the Green Mermaid. I was like,
sensitive to green colors. Okay. Um, and then he is lifted up into the Lost Boys lair, like a tree that's on a cliff, by a big giant shell on a rope. And Peter then gets caught in the Lost Boys booby traps. The Lost Boys are excited. Pan is back. And then Rufio shows up doing some acrobatics, and he has the best like mohawk situation ever. Rufio is played by Dante Basco, who did the voice of Zuko in Avatar, The Last Airbender, and
He
has done
was
a lot.
Zuko.
Yeah, and he's done a lot of voiceover work with many acting credits since then. So I thought that those his like acting credits are a lot of like the voiceover credits I feel like would be like what you and your boyfriend would know more than anything. So Peter asks if there are any grown-ups around here, and Rufio says the only grown-ups are the pirates. Peter calls Rufio a punk kid. I mean, to be fair, he does look very punk, but it's
Yeah,
on point. Like it looks awesome.
he was great.
Um,
I
I
loved
also like
him.
his
I loved
little belly
Rufio.
shirt. Like as a kid, I was like, why is he wearing a belly shirt? Like pull your shirt down. Because that wasn't a thing. Like we didn't have crop tops really early in the
Yeah.
early 90s. It was like baggy clothes in the early 90s. So I was like, why is he showing off his tummy?
I don't know.
Um,
I loved him. I thought he was great. I'm not gonna
but
lie.
yeah,
Although,
no,
like, I
he's
shouldn't
great.
have.
He's great. Um, and the flowers in this scene as he's like walking around are very Alice in Wonderland. Like they respond and they turn and they sniff him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what is happening? Where did these come from? So
Yeah.
let's talk about the Lost Boys. So there's a kid named Pockets who was the cute little boy who was the only one to believe in Peter Pan. And he was played by Isaiah Robinson. Isaiah did one other movie, Dead at the Box Office. That's the name of the movie. It didn't just die at the box office. It was in 2005. And now he's a teaching artist at several programs in Chicago. He also still performs and facilitates workshops with the world famous children's choir in Chicago. So this guy's in Chicago. So You could run into him maybe if you go to Chicago. Kind of
Wait, that's
cool.
crazy. Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting.
Don't physically run into him.
That's very on brand for me. Just like trips into him accidentally.
Uh, Ace was played by Jason Fisher, who was Luke in The Witches, which we were talking about on our podcast in episode 3. He then went on to become a professional poker player and golf caddy for a while. Not really sure what he does now. I don't remember that in our discussion, so maybe that's new news that I've found recently. So I
No, I
don't
don't remember that
remember
either.
learning that he was a professional poker player.
So,
Um,
how do you
but
become
yeah,
a
he
professional poker player? Like, how is that a career?
you win.
Oh, so you just okay. I don't know if like people like hired you to play poker for them or
No,
something.
they have like games and they like put them on television and like if you win the pot of money and it's yeah, it's like they have professional poker players. You usually see them on TV like if they have a whole channel that's like a poker channel on some channel and like you always see them like with weird glasses or something that are non-reflective but also like can't see their eyes so you can't tell what their gonna next move is gonna be. It's all weird. Um
I like
Anyway,
that.
I don't know what he does now. That's just what he did for a while, according to the Googs. So I don't know.
Okay.
The next Lost Boy is named Thudbutt. Don't know why that's a name of anyone. He was the round boy, and he was played by Roush and Hammond. He only did an episode of a few shows, and then he left acting on screen for stage acting, filmmaking, writing, and directing. So, um, then there was the Lost Boy Don't Ask. He was played by James Matteo, and I cannot for the life of me figure out what else I've seen him in. He's been in Band of Brothers, Basketball Diaries, Hero with Dustin Hoffman, and more recently Jersey Boys, The Featherweight, and The Penguin. And honestly, he looks like a character from the Newsies. So apparently that's a Mandela effect, though, because I'm not the only one that thinks that. But he was never in the Newsies. He just looks like he should have been in the Newsies. So anyway, then there was the character Too Small, which is the youngest kid in the movie. He was played by Thomas Tula, who is now a writer. Latch Boy was a young kid with red curly hair. He was played by Alex Zuckerman. He was in a movie Blank Check, which was a really good kids movie where a kid ends up with a blank check and then like uses it to put a slide on his house and get everything he could possibly ever want. We may have to watch that movie. It's a great 90's movie. And now he's a managing director at White Hawk Capital Partners, which to me seems crazy. He just went into finance with all of his hook money. No Nap was the last of the named, or maybe, oh, wait, I gotta go back because this kid was in Blank Check and now he's in finance. Like, did someone else like be like, you need a blank check? Like, how can we
Maybe
get you?
he got a blank
Because now
check.
he has, yeah, he's the managing director at White Hawk Capital Partner. I just,
It's so funny. That's ironic. He
coincidence?
was plotting.
Probably not. Maybe he found a blank check. Maybe art imitated life, imitating art. Okay. Or the other way around. I don't know. No Nap was the last of the Lost Boys, played by Ahmad Stoner. He did several TV shows after this movie, and then he later had an online web series, but I'm not sure what he does now. So back to our movie. So Rufio draws a line and says, anyone who doesn't think that this is Peter Pan, you should cross over to his side. And Peter Banning crosses it first, and Tinkerbell pulls him back. The one little adorable lost boy Ace believes it's Peter, and others follow to cross the back over the line. And then they welcome back, Pan to Neverland, Pan the Man. Hook's ship is very fancy, filled with every food that he could ever want. I was definitely honing in on like I was like, what's he got on that table? Mostly
I was
meat.
jealous.
Yeah, it's just like mostly like different kinds of rib drumstick things. Um, since I haven't eaten meat since I was like 16, I'm not very good at identifying meat products. So I'm like, it was like a lot of things that had legs up in the air of like stick
Yeah.
things, like ribs or something. I don't know. he also has a really cool like sunken pool island in his room of like the fake island, like the Neverland island like a little model. And then there's like water and he's got his little boat. And then his bed lowers from the ceiling to cover that little pool. Hook decides to make Peter's children fall in love with him. Even if Peter fights and flies again, he will still lose because his kids will choose Hook. Back at the Lost Boys lair, they are getting Peter into shape and they say, pick him up, move him down, pick him on up, move him on down. Ain't no time to celebrate. You are old and overweight. Gotta lose 1,000,000 pounds. Get your fat butt off the ground. Reach on down and touch your toes. How long since you looked at those? Shape up, lose weight, get thin, gotta win. Jumping jacks are good for you. Now your face is turning blue. Swing your arms around your back. Give yourself a heart attack. Gotta train in the rain, in the sun, in the snow, 10 below. Gotta move, gotta
Can
groan.
we
They
talk about the
paint,
fact that he wasn't fat? Like,
I
I
mean,
personally did not think he
he's
was
just
fat.
old, but he's fat to them because he's old.
So
But
fat.
I was also like, I was getting the quote of all the things that they're singing, and I was like, on the reach on down and touch your toes. How long since you looked at those? I was like, maybe I should touch my toes more. Like, I don't know. Do I look at my toes enough? Like now that because I'm Peter Banning's age. Like he's probably like close to 40 or 40 or in his 40s, and I'm about to be 40. And so I'm like, oh my God, this could be me. I've never watched these movies as the adult, like as the old parent or something in them anyway. It just triggered something in my brain that now gives me anxiety. So it's fine. So Lost Boys paint Peter's face and body, and Rufio demonstrates he's better than at swordsmanship than Peter. They load Peter into a huge slingshot. He must think happy thoughts. They had painted a smiley face on his chest, which is hilarious. He is then launched and he lands in a painted mud, and he's still not flying. Hook holds a school for Maggie and Jack back on the boat. He teaches that parents were happier before their kids were born. I just want the parents listening out there to laugh at that. Jack is more susceptible to this training because Hook has information showing Peter hasn't been paying attention to him. The Lost Boys have a big feast back at the lair, but Peter can't see the food because he doesn't believe. It must have been strange for those child actors to like pretend to eat this invisible food. They like pretend to like make a burger and they eat that, and then they pretend to like have specific types of food, corn on the cob. And they're very intricate in things that they're doing with it, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, that must be hard. Yeah, I didn't even like put two and two
That's
together.
some
That's
that's some
good.
good kid acting right there.
They all were really
Um,
good, yeah.
yeah, they were. Um, Peter says, eat what? There's nothing here. Gandhi ate more than this, which I thought was hilarious. Sorry, Gandhi. Gandhi was a good guy. I don't want to. It was a Robin Williams made that joke. I didn't. So if you have a problem, Peter finally uses his imagination and finally sees all the food. And the food includes meat, fruit, colorful frosting, and a head of cheese. This is a very weird combination.
It's something I would eat. Like as someone that like eats weird
No, you're
food, I
not
mean,
allowed to have that cheese.
I can't have cheese. I probably shouldn't.
Maybe it's vegan cheese. Um, but it's just weird that it's like you got bowls of frosting and then you got meat products.
I feel like that's such like a little kid
Just a
or like a
weird.
kid staple.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. This is the kid's imagination. Okay. Well, Rufio feels left out and they have a food fight. Rufio challenges Peter by throwing a coconut at him, and they toss Peter a sword and he slices the coconut in half, shocking everyone. He must be the true Pan. Now, Thud Butt gives Peter Toodles' lost marbles later and says that they are his happy thoughts and reveals that Toodles used to be a lost boy. Peter has a very nice rope vine hanging bed on a cliff overlooking the water and the pirate ship for his bed. I was like, that I would sleep there. That looks amazing. I would pay. That's a great Airbnb. I wonder how we can set that up.
How much does it
Then
cost?
that's our new venture. Hook Airbnb. You could just sleep in this tree overlooking the water.
Millennial meets Gen Z 90s edition, but fuck Airbnb edition.
Yes, I will brand our own Airbnb. Um, we can like make Airbnbs based on all the movies we watch. Uh, Jack has a pocket watch that Peter gave him, and the ticking really annoys Hook. Hook doesn't like anything that ticks, obviously. He takes the pocket watch and into the room full of smashed clocks, and Jack smashes his dad's pocket watch for never letting me blow bubbles in my chocolate milk, he said. Then he hits another clock for never letting me jump on my own bed, and then another for always making promises and breaking them, and then another for never doing anything with me. Hook tells Jack, a father that was never there, a father who didn't save you, who couldn't save you. He tries to reshape Jack to think that Hook is better suited to take care of him because he doesn't break promises. When the time comes, do you want to be saved? Put behind any thoughts of home and broken promises. Honestly, it sounds like a cult leader. We then
A
see a
little bit.
football game to win over Jack. The Lost Boys and Peter Pan sneak in as pirates. Now, I do want to say that I love that they did the stack, like the stack of the children on other children's shoulders with the big coats and the beards. Because honestly, this is in a lot of 90s movies. It's in The Little Rascals. And I always thought as a kid, I would get the opportunity to like stack on top. Like I'm okay being on the bottom and having another kid be on my shoulders and we pretend to like be an adult to get into a place. I always thought that was like just part of what you did as a child. And I never got a chance to do that. So you'll see this in other movies that we watch, but yeah, it's like we were
It's
taught
a
a lot
lot.
of things. And this was one of those that we were taught was acceptable child behavior to sneak into
That's
movies or wherever you needed to be as an adult. I
I
don't know.
did not know that was a 90s thing because I've seen that specifically in BoJack Horseman. A whole character has like a whole plot about like dating a child that's on another or on like dating three children all stacked on top of each other that look like an adult. And I did not know that was from the 90s.
That sounds disturbing, but
Yeah, yeah,
dating and children just should not be in the same sentence.
yeah. No.
But yeah, it was like such a 90s thing. You thought you'd encounter quicksand. You thought you'd encounter the Bermuda Triangle and you needed to know all about it. And then you thought that you would get an opportunity with your friends to need to sneak into a movie theater or something stacked on top of each other. Anyway, uh, this is what we learned as 90s kids.
It's so funny.
So Jack hits the curveball, knocks it out of the park. Captain Hook takes credit for Jack, saying, "That's my boy." And Peter realizes Hook is doing all the things he didn't do. Peter realizes he needs to fly. He thinks happy thoughts, but his happy thoughts aren't getting him enough. Until he gets hit in the head with Jack's baseball and sees a reflection that he used to see, and he sees his shadow. Do you remember the shadow being then a separate character in Peter Pan? If you kind of had that vague memory of Peter Pan.
Yes, kind of. About how it like, yeah, about how
He
it
had to
came.
like attach it with soap or whatever, yeah. And his shadow always like gets away from him. Um, well, we learned that Peter Pan finds Wendy's house and Hook had burnt it down after Peter Pan left. Peter remembers his mother, that his baby stroller ran away, but talks like he ran away. He's like, "Oh, I ran away." And it's like, "No, you're a baby in a baby stroller." I think Tinkerbell actually kidnapped him and took him to Neverland. He later flies home to see his mother and father, but they had a new baby by then. He then starts to fly into other open windows to visit and maybe kidnap other children who also didn't want to grow up. So I Googled this to find that in the original J.M. Barrie stories, Peter Pan essentially kidnaps kids and takes them to Neverland with promises they'll never grow up. And when they do, according to the Goobs, he kills them.
That sounds like a grim fairy tale.
So yikes. Like what? Yeah, he's not a this is not a Brothers Grimm. This is a J.M. Barrie. So I'm like, what is so twisted that because he used to thin out the like thin they use the words like thin out the like group or whatever. So he would like kill them. I don't know. But like Tinkerbell kidnaps in the movie, Tinkerbell kidnaps Peter Pan as a baby. And then like he later is gaslit into remembering that he ran away. Like, I don't think so. Killer, you were a baby in a baby stroller. You did not make it go anywhere. Um, Anyway, so we see young Peter Pan, who is played by Ryan Francis, and he has been acting ever since. We also see young Wendy, who is played by the beautiful young Gwyneth Paltrow. She's really nobody. I mean, I have no clue what she's doing these days. Just kidding. She's obviously become famous and she's been in great roles ever since. Seven, Emma, Sliding Doors, Shakespeare in Love, Dogma, Clerks, The Talented Mr. Ripley, Shallow Hal, Austin Powers, Glee. Honestly, so many credits to this day. It can go on and on and on and on. Eventually, Peter Pan returns to find Wendy and had grown up, and he falls in love with her granddaughter Moira instead and remembers the birth of his children. And he has happy enough thoughts to keep him flying and to keep flying around. He's finally back and he pantses Rufio, and the Lost Boys are overjoyed. I don't know. Just kind of like messes with him. Rufio gives the sword of Peter Pan's back to Peter Pan because Pan can fly, fight, and crow. Anyway, we see Peter visit Tinkerbell, who has all of Peter Pan's cards and driver's license. So talk about like she's like planning another kidnapping. I'm not.
Yeah.
I thought
She's
that
like,
was weird. These are things you don't notice as a kid. Like, but as an adult, I've got fears for him.
yeah, like she was plotting. I don't know.
Yeah. So
No.
Peter Pan, like she was like sitting there memorizing his credit card number or something. It's like
What are you gonna buy in the
on the
numbers? Like,
Tinkerbell websites. I'm not sure.
he's gonna like order dresses. I want
Yeah.
this dress.
Maybe that's how she got the other dresses. Peter Pan forgets who he is and that he even has kids, and Tinkerbell makes herself large to give Peter Pan a kiss. Dude, why? Like I
I thought that was so weird. I'm not gonna
like
lie.
cute when we were little, but now it's like, I don't know. Peter Pan declares her love and says she remembers. Um, yeah, she just loves him. And he says he remembers and loves Moira and Jack and Maggie. So they prepare for war with the pirates to get his family back. Captain Hook starts to pierce Jack's ear with a hook. Creepy. But Peter Pan appears and asks Jack to come home, and Jack doesn't want to because he doesn't really remember his dad. So Peter is able to fly because of Jack was his happy thought, and he tells that to him. The Lost Boys then go to war with the pirates, which includes them blinding them with mirrors, shooting eggs at them, marbles at them, and shooting paint at them. Also, Thud Butt, which is the kid knocking them down and rolling down the stairs across the gangplank. Thought that was crazy. He just like lifts his legs and rolls. I was like, I don't think that's how that works, but Maggie is apparently captive with other kids. She had other kids that she was being held hostage, which I thought was weird. So those must have been other lost boys that were also being held captive. Rufio is challenged by Hook as Peter Pan is trying to save Maggie, and she goes, "Peter Pan's my dad." The Lost Boys are winning against the pirates. Rufio is then stabbed by Hook and dies, saying to Peter Pan, "Do you know what I wish? I wish I had a dad just like you." Peter Pan starts to turn on Hook, but Jack says, "Dad, I just want to go home." And Peter Pan leaves with his kids and the Lost Boys. And Maggie shouts back to Hook, "You need a mother very, very badly." Hook swears to come for his children's children. So Peter flies back to fight Hook. They scare Hook away with clocks, take off his wig, and defeat him. Pan says Hook deserves to die, and his kids say, "Please, just let's go." And then Maggie says, "He's just a mean old man without a mommy." And Pan tells him to take a ship and go, but Hook tries to come after him. So Peter put his hook in the giant gator that falls down and like eats Hook again, and Hook kind of just disappears. Bangarang. So Peter Pan and his kids fly home. You think one happy thought to fly. Tink guides them home, and Peter Pan says goodbye to the Lost Boys minus Rufio because they kill off the best character because that sucks. Who does that leave in charge? And it was Thudbutt that he left in charge. Um, and he tells him to take care of everyone smaller than him. And the small kid asks, "Who do I look after?" And he says, "Neverbugs, the little ones." Because the kid is so tiny. The kids return home where their mother is sleeping and they climb into their bed. Their mother finds them when she wakes and is so happy that her kids have returned. Peter Pan is asleep outside and wakes up, and we see Smee like sweeping the walkway. Tinkerbell is in love with Peter Pan and promises to love him forever. Peter answers his phone and then blows him off to go inside, and his family then throws his phone to find his family, and then he throws his phone out the window. Toodles gets his marbles back and his happiness back, which is so cute. And then he flies out the open window. He just takes off. We don't know. Is he going to Neverland? Where is he going? Like, that's what I want. Is he just going to take a tour around London?
He's like, bye guys,
Like
BRB.
flying first class? Um,
Literally.
so Wendy says, so your adventures are over. And Pan says, oh no, to live would be an awfully big adventure. And that's the end. So what I miss?
Okay, let me pull up my notes. Okay, I'm gonna say something, and I may get some hate for this. Okay, okay. I did
Yeah, be
not like
careful.
I did not like when he flew. I thought it kind of looked stupid.
Just in general, when he was flying, what did you want it to look like? There's
I
no,
don't know. Just
this
I
is
don't
the
know.
early 90's. This is
I know.
pre-Pixar. This
I
isn't
know.
like Avatar or, you know what I mean? Special effects are limited.
No, yeah, honestly, very valid. I probably should have put that in mind a little bit more, but I did not like when he flew. Like me
Okay.
and my boyfriend were like, it looks like he's on a string because he probably was.
Probably was, yeah.
Yeah.
But at least you
But
didn't see the string.
yeah, that's true. That's true. You got me there. You got me there.
Okay, well, when
What?
we see more movies, judge the flying. If there's flying in the movie, like,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. I said that loved Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell. I did not like the character though of Tinkerbell. Like to be honest,
Yeah.
I was kind of like one, she's kind of pushy and just kind of like annoying, and I know in like the Disney rendition, like Tinkerbell is kind of just like pushy in general. That's her personality, but like I don't know. I didn't really like her haircut. I was like, I feel like Julia Roberts is so pretty. I feel like they kind of did her dirty with that. But I also didn't like that she was like in love with Peter Pan, knowing he had kids and a wife. What? What?
In the cartoon, she kind of is obsessed with him a little bit too.
Oh, I didn't even remember that. Like from the
Yeah,
cartoon.
she's like
Okay.
very jealous. She gets jealous really easily. That's part of her personality. But yeah.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of just bugged me. My favorite character was Rufio. I thought the eating part was kind of sad because the whole like imagination thing. I was sad about that. I don't know why I found that sad, but I did find that sad.
Yeah, also are they starving or does that actually fill them up? If you're not really eating, are you going to bed hungry every night? I don't know.
That
These are things we
yeah,
don't know.
that was kind of my take on it. I was like, oh, that's sad. That is sad. Multiple the mermaid part and the Tinkerbell part I wrote down. Did he just cheat?
Yeah, macking with everybody. Doesn't
Like,
matter. Doesn't tell his wife about it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he was apparently in love with Granny Wendy at one point. It's just like, dude gets around.
So weird. It's so weird. Oh my
Yeah.
God, back
You
to the
don't know that
mermaid.
stuff as a kid, though. Like, you're not really paying attention. It's just like, oh, this is cute. And oh, there's a backstory. And like, you don't really think of like, oh, that's not allowed.
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah, no, I think watching it as an adult was just like funny because I was like, why has he like kissed like four women? Like how? Three of which were
Yeah.
mermaids, one of which is a fairy, but like still. I mean, I don't blame him, but like also don't do that. It's horrible. And then one of my questions, funny enough, was are they kissing him or giving him air about the mermaids?
Supposed to be giving him air, but I was,
Like,
this looks a little in between,
like, are we sure? They he looked a little too happy for it to just be air.
right?
I thought Hook's phrase, I want to die, there is no adventure here, was funny. I was like, okay, girl, okay, girl. And then another one of my notes, as I kind of mentioned, is I was like, Robin Williams is not fat.
Yeah, no, but he's
I was
old. And like, as an old person, like, you don't kid. Okay, you're not old, so forget it. Okay, wait till you get to the point where you're in a grocery store and some 4-year-old is like, you're fat. And you're like, I'm average size for my height and weight, thank you.
I I would I don't know if I'd cry, scream.
Kids, they'll like be like, "What's on your face?" if you have a zit, or they'll be young kids are always like. So I kind of feel like it's along the same thing, like old and fat, like being middle aged, just kind of you're just it's especially in the 90's was kind of like synonymous with being old and fat. There wasn't like 40-year-old men, oftentimes it wasn't trendy to like be out there flipping tires and doing the rope thing, and like health is encouraged in like eating healthy and like being active, but like kind of in the 90's it was more like, oh, your dad is like out there playing basketball 1 day a week with like his buddies or something, or plays racquetball with coworkers. He's not like working out in the gym and like CrossFit,
Yeah.
that wasn't a thing. So I think they just, he wasn't like super fit, but also, yeah, he had a dad bod a little bit. And so
Yeah.
they're talking about.
Yeah, no, I think maybe that was more of like a kid's perception thing, as you're saying, not like, yeah. I was
Yeah,
so annoyed about that. I was like, he's not
kids are
fat.
cruel.
Yeah.
Kids are very cruel.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why at the beginning of the movie I like wrote this down, but I thought you would think this is funny. I said, how is this not a Disney movie? I'm so confused.
Because it's a Steven Spielberg movie. They have a lot of regular live action movies. But they weren't often taking like what they do now, where they're like, let's redo The Lion King and like make it with like real looking lions. Or like let's make whatever they're doing recently. The Little Mermaid live action. Like that wasn't a thing. So they had like regular movies and then they had their animated movies and they were like separate.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
So, I mean, I
Interesting.
guess, but also it's a Spielberg movie. It's kind of got dark parts to it. It's kind
Yeah.
of like it's taken the original storyline a little bit. It like does a little historical dive into the J.M. Barrie story. I just don't know if it would have, I don't know if it would have fit Disney, but also I don't know anything anymore after rewatching some of these movies from our childhood because The Witches was a kids movie, and I just don't, you know.
I stand by. How is that a kid's movie? What is a family horror film? What?
It's where you can watch horror films as a family, Hannah.
Oh,
Jeez.
great.
Like,
With their
bring
creepy
your
parents.
4-year-old brother and we'll just watch this super creepy movie where kids are potentially going to get killed. It's no big deal.
Yeah, all of the kids. All of the kids are gonna get
Oh,
killed.
no big
I,
deal.
no.
I have nightmares later. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll pull off my face and, be a witch. Okay.
My face. Give me 10 seconds. Let me just pull off my face.
Like, hold on. No, like that, that movie still freaks me out. Good movie, scary. Prosthetics, scary.
Yeah. Jim Henson did a good job. So,
Yeah,
was
no.
there any other notes from this one?
Yeah. So my like views on Hook were kind of like 50-50 because like not gonna lie, from what I remember when I watched like the animated Disney version of Peter Pan, I actually did kind of like Captain Hook because I just thought he was like funny-ish. I was just like, oh, like out of all the villains, I thought him and like Cruella de Vil were like the funniest. But so I kind of still had the same like point of view about him because I was like, okay, like he's crazy. Like I get the point of the fact that you're crazy and you want to like duel him and have an adventure and like get your get back and all that. But then when he tried turning Jack against Peter, I was like, no. I was
Yeah.
like, never mind. I take it
Well,
back.
villains aren't making good decisions. It's kind of what makes them bad parts,
Yeah.
like bad people.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that you were like, I like the villains.
Yeah.
Because
No, I typically
that
do.
that's like my nephew. My nephew was very clever. And he's now much older now, but when he was little, he had selected, we were at Star Wars night at the Lugnuts game, and he had selected like the dark side colors for his lightsaber that they gave kids. And I was like, don't you like not want the bad guy color? And he was like, Allie, there is no fully good or bad person. everybody is complicated.
Yeah. Oh, it's about
So
like
he was like
like rent.
6 years old, and I'm getting like life advice that I like like mind blowing. I was like, okay, all right, kid, you taught me something. I know it probably came from my sister, but I was just like, okay, you're right. There are no all good or all bad people, and everybody's complicated.
Yeah,
But
pretty good
yeah,
advice.
but he sometimes roots for the villains in the movies, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, that's kind
So,
of how I am too. Like, yeah, I
which
like the more, I don't know,
is
dark characters.
which is like not what we did as 90's kids, because like 90's kids there was like a very distinct, this is right, this is wrong, you root for the good guy always wins, the bad guy like cries, whatever, cries or dies, you know.
Yeah.
um so there's just kind of like more of a distinction, and it's not complicated. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but again, that's our perspective from growing up in the 90's, is you just kind of, that's what you were fed. So, I don't know.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah. No, I just thought when Hope started like being intentionally manipulative, that's when I was like, oh, I don't like that. Like, okay, I can deal with you being like a crazy pirate who wants to kill people, but like not when you're manipulating children. That's too
Yeah.
much. So
Yeah.
that was a little
Well, our
crazy.
next movie is along the same vein. We're going to be sticking with Robin Williams for one more movie in a row and watching Jumanji, the original from 1995. There have been newer movies. Just make sure you're watching the original, just regular
It,
Jumanji,
okay,
1995.
90.
Um, and then we'll come back to some of the other Robin Williams movies in the new year, but we're
Oh,
gonna just hit these two. The synopsis is: a magical board game unleashes a world of adventure on siblings Peter and Judy Shepherd. While exploring an old mansion, the youngsters find a curious jungle-themed game called Jumanji in the attic. When they start playing, they free Alan Parrish, who's been stuck in the game's inner world for decades. If they win Jumanji, the kids can free Alan for good, but that means braving giant bugs, ill-mannered monkeys, and even stampeding rhinos. Yep.
holy crap.
You'll see Bonnie Hunt in this movie from Cheaper by the Dozen. You'll be introduced to Kristen Dunst, who is known for her role in Spider-Man, Little Women, and Bring It On. You'll see Jonathan Hyde, who plays the bad guy in this movie. Also, Bradley Pierce plays Peter in this movie, and you may know him as Chip from Beauty and the Beast. He does a lot of voiceover work, including Tails in Sonic the Hedgehog, and he also plays in another 90's movie, The Borrowers. So that's our next movie. Do you have any questions?
Yes. Where can I watch it? Is it
This
on
is an
Prime?
Amazon Watch, probably a rental, I think.
Okay.
You can check though. Check and see if it's on Disney. Um, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, yeah, you'll have to check around. I haven't honestly checked.
Okay.
I need to start logging that on where we watch, but I always just am like, I'll figure it out day of.
Oh, sounds good. And then like
But
in advance is like a prediction. What would you rate this movie out of 10 based on like you watching it?
I'm not prepared to answer that question. Um, I haven't seen this movie in a little while. I watched like the sequels or one of the sequels or something. And I was like, meh, the original is just good. Um, I mean, I've seen a lot of movies and I have a very like probably pretty big ranking system. So I would probably put this at a 7, maybe.
Oh,
Um, I think there's nostalgia. It's hard because there's like you're always gonna love the movies of your childhood sometimes better than like newer movies that you see, because you're like there's nostalgia. There's like that
yeah.
feeling. I can go back and I can remember being that age. I think this was like around fourth grade or something. I really loved fourth grade. And I like can remember like being that age and like how I felt watching it, and how it was kind of like it's a it's about a board game and there's like books and stuff that followed. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Robin Williams was such a cool character back then too. And he really like helps make the movie, and it's like intense and it's fun. And anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I am not the rating person because I have loved so many movies for so many different reasons. We're gonna watch a lot of like my faves in this series, and but it's gonna be weird because you're gonna be like, you love this one movie and then this other movie that's completely the opposite of. So it's hard to rank them
Yeah,
together.
varies. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
good to know.
I feel
Um,
like I like Jumanji better. I think I like Jumanji better than Hook. Maybe
okay.
like this.
Okay.
If I wanted to rate all my Robin Williams films, these are up there in the Robin Williams
Okay.
category. Like I
Okay.
didn't really like Toys. Patch Adams was like meh. Sorry, I know a lot of people love Patch Adams. Patch Adams for me was like meh. So like those are towards the bottom of my Robin Williams category. These are towards the top.
Okay.
Does
Good to
that
know.
help?
Yes, that does. I'll keep that in mind and
This is also
see.
not, it's like an intense adventure action movie, but it's not a thriller. You're not having to worry about
Being
being
like freaked
afraid.
out.
It's not The Witches, but it
Don't
is
bring that up to
intense and
me.
it is a little scary because you're like, and I think I saw this movie in theaters when it came out. Um,
Oh, wait, that's fun.
so back in my day.
Okay.
So
I mean,
anyway,
awesome. Awesome, awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm afraid about the bugs, but besides that, it'll be great. I'm excited. I'll probably watch it Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So, yeah.
okay. All right. Well, as always, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching along with us. If you get a chance to watch these movies, they are fabulous. Everything that we've had to get from Amazon Rental so far, that hasn't been streaming live, I think this one actually might be on something. We'll have to just check through. But everything so far has only been like $3, $4 maximum when you're renting them. So they're not very expensive, which is nice. And we're going to keep going. The problem is that 90s movies come and they pull them off. They put them on for like a month and then they pull them off again. So we'll see if we can time some things so that they're streaming for people. But definitely watch along. If you haven't seen Jumanji, it's a great watch. If you have seen Jumanji, it's probably, you're going to be like me, revisiting it and going, what is this as an adult? Because now you are the age of you might be the age of Alan Parrish, like who comes back from the game, Robin Williams. And it's going to be weird identifying with a completely different character than when you were identifying as a kid. So, um, well, bless your little Gen Z heart and all the cute little insights you have. Can't wait to see what you think of this next one.
Yes, me as well. Thank you for watching, guys.
Thanks. Bye.